Hey, what's up guys? I hope you guys are enjoying Destiny 2 right now as much as I am, because we are just under 30 days until Lightfall finally drops. That's pretty exciting. But before Lightfall drops, let me show you guys this Revenant Stasis Hunter build that gives you unlimited ability energy spams, 1 to 2 minute supers in high rank content when doing damage to frozen targets and defeating them. You'll see me pop 2 supers within 5 minutes, and I'm not counting the super you see me get by grabbing a flag while in the Grandmaster, because there was a public event when I first hopped into the Grandmaster, so I just grabbed that flag and got a super. But it surprised me just how fast I was able to regen my super with this build. Another thing we have in this build is a crazy amount of damage because of a certain fragment we are running, combined with a primary exotic. We're able to get a 45% damage buff. Enemies just drop when we enter the room. The last thing we get from this build will be unlimited dust field grenades. Every team needs a good stasis player to provide ad control, and this build gives you that. You're able to regen your dust field grenade in 5 to 10 seconds, and when I made this build I didn't even have tier 10 discipline. So imagine how fast the regen would be if I had tier 10 discipline, on top of dust field grenades being larger due to the stasis aspects we are rocking in this build. And the best part about this build is that going into Lightfall, this build doesn't require any mod setup and solely relies on the stasis subclass, aspects, and fragments to make this build work. And it has different variations that are just as potent. And don't forget that in Lightfall, our class abilities will have the ability to stun champions without a season of mod, so this build will just get even better. Let's jump straight into the build. For the class ability, make sure to go with Gambler's Dodge so we're able to fully refund our melee ability Withering Blade and keep those enemies frozen. For our grenade, we will be using dust field grenades, and since this will be a grenade spam build, dust field grenades have a base cooldown of 1 minute. So with tier 10, you can get it down to 24 seconds, so we have a large crowd control ability, and we'll be combining this with the stasis aspect Touch of Winter. Touch of Winter will make it so that our dust field grenades will have a larger radius and create a small crystal in the center of the dust field grenade when it lands on impact. The other aspect we do have will be Grim Harvest, so we are able to spam stasis shards when we freeze enemies, and we get 3 fragment slots from this aspect, which is a nice additive. For the first fragment, we will have Whisper of Shards, so when we shatter a stasis crystal, we temporarily boost our grenade recharge rate. So when you throw your dust field grenade and destroy the crystal it makes from Touch of Winter, you will boost your grenade recharge rate for 5 seconds, and with that you can cut down half the time it takes to recharge your grenade alone with that fragment. We also get a plus 10 resilience, which is a nice additive as well. For our second fragment, we have Whisper of Fissures, which increases the damage and size of the burst of stasis crystals when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. For the third fragment, we have Whisper of Durance, with the purpose of making the slow from our abilities last longer. More specifically, our dust field grenade lasts an extra 6 seconds on the field, and we get an extra 10 stench from that. It also makes our super silence and squall last longer. The fourth fragment is Whisper of Lawns, and this is how we're able to get 2 supers in 5 minutes, because when we defeat frozen targets it will grant us super energy. The only downside to this fragment is we will take a hit of -10 discipline and a -10 intellect, but we will make this, but this fragment makes it up to us by far. For the last fragment, we have Whisper of Rendering, so our primary ammo weapons do increased damage to stasis frozen targets. This gives our primary exotic a 45% damage buff as long as we are hitting enemies that are frozen. That's the buff I was talking to you guys about in the beginning of the video. With that, we wrap up the stasis subclass, and let's jump straight into the armor setup and the weapon choice. For the stats, we want to build into 100 resilience first and 100 discipline second, so we can spam our dust field grenades. Resilience is taking a hit in Lightfall, so it's going to be 30% instead of the 40% we're used to, but 30% will still be nice. Now for the weapon combination, you will want a primary exotic to make this build shine. So my top choices are Ley Monarch, Wish Ender, and Malfeasance. Wish Ender is the best option if you're going with anti-barrier, and is by far the best weapon to use in this build because it just does consistent and great damage overall. If you're going against unstoppable champions, then switch to Malfeasance, and if you're going to use Malfeasance, then we can also swap our exotics, but we'll get into that later. If you are going against overloads like I was in the Grandmaster I was doing, then do switch to Ley Monarch, as Ley Monarch is strong against overload champion. Other than that, you can run whatever guns you need to get the content done. I've used this build in Gambit, I've used this build in Grandmaster, so just switch up the weapon type to match the content you're doing. For the armor setup, we will be rocking Frosties, so we can just sprint around and regain our abilities. But if you choose to run Malfeasance, like I said beforehand, swap to Lucky Pants, because Lucky Pants pairs well with Malfeasance because it is in hand cannon. And Since Frosty's is our exotic, we're just going to be sprinting around all the time, staying mobile, and we're going to be able to regen our grenade energy even more. So that's just another additive to this build. Now to top this build off, we will be using elemental web mods. These are not required for the build to make it work, so we can have the continuity going into Lightfall, so it doesn't require any elemental web mods. And we can spam our grenade just by using the Stasis subclass and an exotic. But to top it off, like I said, we're going to be using 3 firepower mods and then up 2 mods to become charged with light. The way we are going to become charged with light is by using Stasis energy type armor, which I do have my cloak on Stasis, and we're going to be rocking the elemental weld mod called elemental shards. So our Stasis shards will now count as elemental welds for us. So anytime we do make a target frozen and they spawn those Stasis shards, it will count as elemental weld mods for us. And on top of that, we will be rocking elemental charge. So when we do pick up an elemental weld mod, we do become charged with light. And that's how we're becoming charged with light to pair well with our 3 firepowers. And all firepower means is when you are charged with light, regain a portion of your grenade energy when you use your grenade. So we're going to be gaining around 20 to 30% of our grenade energy just by throwing it down once we are charged with light. This might be a little bit of an overkill, as you guys can see in the video, but you can change it around and change the mods around to match your playstyle and match your fit. But this is the build for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.